Hey, what's up? This is Mark at Alchemist.camp, where we learn Elixir by building things. Today, we're going to do a really simple mix project that sets up streaming input from text files. This is really useful if you do any kind of competitive programming, stuff like LeetCoder or my favorite, Codeforces, or Advent of Code, which is what we're doing right now, or lots of people are doing right now. So let's make a new mix project. We'll call it mix new AOC for Advent of Code. Then we'll open up that newly created directory and size the window just as big as the other so you can see what's going on. And you'll see it's generated a mix file, a whole bunch of really basic stuff that's there automatically. We're going to go straight to the main file, AOC, and remove all of the default module doc and hello function. Then we'll make our own function, which will be called input file. Take a single argument, which will be the name of the file. And actually, let's make this on a second line because there's a bit to add. We're going to create this with a path.join, taking two arguments. We're going to take the priv directory of our application. So that'll be application.appdir AOC priv, and the name that was just passed in. We can test this by running iex-s mix, and we'll say aoc.input file foo. And you can see this is my path to the AOC project, and then it's in the underscore build/dev/lib/aoc/priv/foo because we're in development. If this were deployed, it would actually be wherever your release directory is in the same directory as all of your static assets are. So looks like everything is fine there. Then we'll make another helper for individual lines. So defun input lines, and this will take the same name, and we'll use our input file in order to get the file name, pass that into file.stream, and pass that streaming result into stream.map, and we'll just use string.trim in order to trim all of the lines. With that, we should be able to read in an entire file. I'm going to just take the contents that I've pasted into my buffer and put those into a new file in priv, which I'm going to call day1.txt. This is the input for day one of the Advent of Code from 2019. Okay, so we've got our input there. Let's try running this again, and we'll do aoc.input lines day1.txt. And you can see we've got a stream with all of those. Just to verify that it's something reasonable, we'll just make that enum.map, doing nothing, not transforming it at all, just getting it out of the stream so we can see all of these mapped together. So here we go. These are the input lines, which represent masses of modules that we do some work on in day one of Advent of Code. So with that, we're basically ready to start coding. We can use this input lines wherever we want. We'll get a stream back with all the contents, and we can do things like sum them up or whatever operation needs to be done on them for the coding problem. What happened there? enum.sum. Oh, because those aren't integers, so we'd have to do like an enum.map string to integer /1, actually not /1, just passing it that. Or alternatively, we could actually do this as well. And then we can sum them up. All right. Actually, let's just implement it. We're so close. I'll just put in the same logic we went through in the last episode. So we'll just go to our lib, add a new file, call this one day1.ex, and make a module day1, And if you're not familiar with the specific task, the task was to put all of these input numbers through a conversion, which was dividing by 3, throwing away the remainder, subtracting 2 from each of them, and then add it up to get the amount of fuel that some spaceship modules needed. The first day of Advent of Code is always pretty simple. So we'd make a function to calculate that. So D1, let's see, one-liner function, that's my expansion. Just call it estimate fuel. And that's going to take some amount of mass as an input, and it's going to return the remainder of the input divided, or not the remainder, it's going to return the input divided by 3 without the remainder, minus 2. And actually, if it's less than 0, we've got to treat it as 0. So we'll do max that and 0. So that's our, all right, we got to do it like so. All right, basically doing exactly what we've got here in the REPL down there. So we'll make another function called modules, and the module masses are just going to be, do we need this enum.map? We don't need that. We're not summing them up, so we'll just keep it as a stream so everything else can use it. Stream.map. So we get the lines in, we stream them out as, or we convert them into integers and then just stream that out. Then to solve part 1 for day 1 is just to add up the sum of the fuel that all those modules take. So that would be part 1, we'll call it. It's not going to take any arguments at all, and it'll get the modules. And with that list of masses coming in the stream, we'll do stream.map and estimate fuel, and then enum.sum to add them all up. All right, then after that, the next step was for part 2 of this, which wasn't solved here, calculate how much fuel, not only how much fuel does each module need, but how much fuel do you need to carry the fuel that you added to carry the module, and how much fuel do you need for the fuel that you added for the fuel that you added, and so on. So let's make a new function called calculate fuel, and this will go through it iteratively as we just saw before. So I'm going to blow through this pretty quickly. If you want to see in detail how it works, just check out my video about Advent of Code Day 1. So our input is going to be nothing because we're going to grab it while we're in the function. We'll do modules to get all of the lines of input read. Then stream.iterate. We'll repeatedly use our estimate fuel function. And then we'll do stream.drop, because this first thing is going to generate, it's going to successively generate more and more numbers from that estimate fuel function, just running that function on the answer and then running it on the answer again and again like that. We want to get rid of the first one because that was the original mass of the spaceship modules. Then stream.take while the fuel, or while the mass of the fuel just calculated is greater than 1, and then we add it all up, enum.sum, and let's restart this. We should basically have it. So day 1 dot part 1 and day 1 dot part 2 isn't written yet. So part 2 is just going to use that calculate fuel instead of the estimate fuel. So call this part 2, change this from estimate to calculate. Calculate underscore fuel. That looks correct. Oh, right. This does have an input. The input is still the mass of a given module as before. So we're not getting the modules there. We're passing in one mass. This calculates a fuel for any one thing. And we're streaming in all the modules at the beginning of part 2. And that's actually not quite high enough. Oh, this should be while it's greater than 0, I believe. All right, that's the right answer. So this is how we would set up our whole mix project, add some input files to it in the priv directory, set up some helpers so that we can stream the input in and read them as numbers and do programming challenges with them. Hope you found this useful, and see you next time.